The unease hit me the moment I pushed open the cabin door. Not because of the quiet. That was expected. Snow smothered everything in silence. What unsettled me was the missing pieces of myself. No boots waiting at the entry. No framed photo of us on the mantel. The leather chair I had chosen with care was gone, swapped out for something plain, almost sterile. In the office drawer, I found the evidence. A folder marked property. Every page inside had been revised, reorganized, renamed. My signature and my identity neatly erased. On the latest version, only her maiden name and her parents' names remained. When I confronted her father, he didn't flinch. He stirred his coffee like we were neighbors talking about garbage collection. "We just made a few updates," he said. She sat beside him, smiling sweetly as poison. "It's still family land," she added. I left before the rage boiling in me found words I couldn't take back. Drove 4 hours down the icy mountain with a broken heater and a stomach tied in knots. That night, sleep never came. Instead, I unlocked the safe, pulled out the original deed, signed by me, paid for by me, legally filed in my name. I sent it to the one person they never imagined I would. But that part came later. 3 years earlier, the cabin was nothing but a decaying log shell on forgotten land. I saw potential. She saw promise. Weekends became a cycle of rebuilding. New walls, new wiring, new life. Back then, her parents dismissed it as too isolated. Funny how their tune changed once the work was done. Suddenly, it was their retirement getaway, as if they had built it with their own hands. She used to race barefoot up those porch steps, wild hair flying, eyes sparkling. She called it our sanctuary. She told me she'd never felt more at peace. She told me many things. The shift was gradual. First, she stopped joining me on weekends, claiming work kept her tied down. Then came the girls' nights that never showed up on her calendar. I noticed purchases at hardware stores near the cabin: paint, lumber, locks. "You said it needed updating," she shrugged when I asked. Except I hadn't. One night, her phone lit up on the table. A message from her father flashed on the screen. "Everything's in motion. You won't notice." She didn't realize I saw it. I said nothing. Didn't shout. Didn't accuse. I simply kissed her forehead and told her to rest. From then on, I slept in the office. She thought I was sulking. I was planning. Pain doesn't just wound, it sharpens. I hired someone. Quiet. Efficient. He delivered photographs. Her parents unloading furniture, replacing signs, stripping out fixtures I had installed. Then came shots of her, filing paperwork at the clerk's office. Piece by piece, I followed the digital trail. Timestamps, property transfers, altered records. They weren't just stealing the cabin. They were erasing me. But records don't vanish. Not notarized ones. Not when deeds are filed in multiple states. Not when the original still bears my name, my ID, my payment. They mistook me for sentimental. They forgot I was precise. I documented everything. Duplicates, timestamps, evidence labeled and organized. And then I waited. An anonymous tip was all it took to spark interest. A routine audit uncovered the inconsistencies, right on schedule. Soon after, I mailed the full dossier to her aunt, a retired real estate lawyer, who despised her brother. They had underestimated her, too. She went on the offensive, lodged formal complaints, demanded an inquiry. With her reputation, the entire process froze under investigation. That's when I invited them to dinner. A quiet steakhouse, private room reserved. I wore the same suit I had on the day I first signed the deed. Petty maybe, but satisfying. Her parents arrived first, smug and certain. My wife came last, always dramatic. I placed a folder on the table. My name was never off the title. I said evenly. "You forged new documents, filed them under a shell trust, but public records don't lie. And neither does the person I sent them to." Her father reached across for the file. "I didn't release it. I've already filed suit. Fraud, theft, conspiracy. You'll spend your pensions on lawyers before this even sees trial." He looked at her. She looked at me. But I was already rising from my chair. They're still tangled in it. Last I heard, they mortgaged their house just to keep fighting. Her aunt's deposition dismantled their entire timeline. The judge called it a deliberate attempt to strip the rightful owner. I sat silently in the back row of the hearing while she trembled, eyes downcast, saying nothing. When the ruling was handed down, I didn't celebrate. I simply walked out into the cold, inhaled deeply, and drove back to the mountain. The cabin was locked, but my key still turned. Inside, beneath a tarp, the leather chair waited untouched. I poured myself a drink, stood at the window, and watched the snow fall. You don't always need to raise your voice to be heard. Sometimes silence, backed by proof, drowns out everything else. They stole my trust, my time, tried to take my home, so I took back everything. And now, when she insists it's still family property, she isn't wrong.